and, quote, protesters may be inclined to become violent, and, quote, there have been some worrisome calls for protesters to come to these events armed. Another quote, the sense of desperation and disappointment may lead to more of an incentive to become violent, end quote. Even worse, Pittman testified to the Senate that she had shared the appropriate intelligence with the assistant and deputy chiefs of the Capitol Police, which is unconditionally false. It was never sent or shared. Why can I say that? I can say it with certainty because if you look at Harry Dunn, Officer Harry Dunn's testimony in the previous committee, he states that he believed that January 6th would just be like any other day. He had no independent reason to believe that there would be violence. And in his own words on July 27, 2021 testimony, Harry Dunn stated he thought there was going to be peaceful protests and received no threat warning from the chain of command. So the question is, who lied? Harry Dunn, you're lying, or you're getting on a Pittman, who's got a nice job. Pelosi gave her a nice job there in California. So now we know why the Capitol Police were so ill-prepared. We know why. Assistant Chief, I've been to rallies, this and that. When the boss is up there speaking, nobody leaves early. Nobody leaves early. I tell you why, because there was never a call to violence. There was never a call to violence or a call to storm the Capitol. That was something the militia groups are craving and created on their own. The Oath Keepers, Proud Boys, Antifa, 3%ers. Bad actors that day. Gotta say it, bad actors.
Imagine a crisis where everyone agrees something went wrong, but no one agrees who failed or why. Now imagine a report meant to explain it, but it spends more time assigning blame than tracing decisions. That's the tension at the heart of this moment. Not a shouting match, not a viral clip, but a quieter accusation that the system protected itself. In this hearing, Representative Troy Nehls isn't relitigating personalities. He's questioning whether the official story answered the most basic public question: how did this happen, and who was responsible for stopping it? That question matters to anyone who expects warnings to be shared, threats to be investigated, and taxpayer-funded institutions to do what they exist to do. Nehls points out that the pipe bombs placed near the Capitol were described as by far the most serious thing that occurred that day. That line lands because it cuts against the structure of the final report itself. If the most serious threat gets pushed into the appendix, the priorities are upside down. Ordinary Americans understand this instinctively. If there's an explosive device near a government building, that's not a footnote. That's the headline. Yet Nehls notes it's mentioned only a handful of times, while enormous resources were deployed elsewhere. This is where accountability blurs into bureaucracy. The intelligence existed. Assistant Chief Pittman acknowledged warnings about violence and Congress as a target. But those warnings didn't reach officers on the ground. Officer Harry Dunn testified he received no such alerts and believed the day would be peaceful. That gap matters, not politically, operationally.
First breach. This entire document is about Donald Trump. It's about blaming Donald Trump. Donald Trump commanded, he ordered his followers to go to the Capitol to storm the Capitol. I find it interesting because the first breach occurred 20 minutes before Trump's speech ended. Why would Trump supporters leave a Trump speech and breach the Capitol grounds before the speech ever ended? I've been to rallies, this and that. When the boss is up there speaking, nobody leaves early. Nobody leaves early. I tell you why, because there was never a call to violence. There was never a call to violence or a call to storm the Capitol. That was something the militia groups are craving and created on their own. Later at 12:53. Now that security at the Capitol has been softened. It's smart. This was organized. This was an operation, folks. And then at 12:59, 6 minutes later, Congress convenes to certify the election. It's very interesting that the pipe bomb is reported just minutes before the joint session convenes. Here's the key the American people need to understand. The FBI, Patel's FBI, didn't get any new information. No new information to find the pipe bomber. They had all the evidence to identify him and had been in possession of Christopher Wray's FBI for the entire Biden administration. It's extremely bizarre, folks. It's bizarre because the January 6th investigation was the largest and most extensive in the history of the FBI. This is the article. The Wray FBI aggressively pursued and charged nearly 1,600 individuals in all 50 states, including elderly individuals who committed no acts of violence. They identified and tracked these people down, breakneck speed, using every tool at their disposal. Left no stone unturned when we had an FBI whistleblower disclose to us that they were even pulling agents off of porn cases, child porn cases, so they could catch trespassing grandmas. But for the pipe bomber, there was comparatively no effort to find this person. I ask unanimous consent to enter into the record of today's hearing the CNN article titled "Biggest Investigation in FBI History Still Has Merrick Garland in the Hot Seat."
Without objection.
And I'd also like to enter into the record, this is good, to help my colleague from Texas on the other side that talked about impeachments. November 6, 2024, Trump is elected, the Los Angeles Times, Trump is elected the 47th president, soundly defeating Harris to retake the White House. This is a beautiful one
Without
here.
objection.
Everybody read it.
Long after the names fade, the systems remain. If investigations prioritize narratives over mechanics, the same incentives produce the same blind spots. January 6th isn't just a test of accountability for individuals. It's a test of whether institutions can critique themselves honestly before the next failure demands another report.